Man. 2017. It was a really strong year for Nick Jr. It brought some specialty, some originals that came out on that year, such as Now the Princess Nine Sunny Day, as it still retained 2D animation, and it had some underrated gems too, like Digby Dragon. 2017 was a pretty good year for Nick Jr., but unfortunately, Mick Jr. had to face something that isn't pleasant on the next year, being 2018. So, what happened to Nick Jr. in 2018? Well, let's just say that the channel turned for the worst. And it's a shame because Nick Jr. used to be really, really special, especially on the old years, and especially when it used to be called Noggin. Now, if I gotta be honest, Nick Jr.'s name change on 2009 was pretty good. Moose and Z were still intact after Noggin was rebranded as Nick Jr., though it is a shame that they unfortunately left a few years later, and 2012 was claimed to be a year that many people did not like about Nick Jr. Mostly because of the fact that Nick Mom existed. And let me just say this. We don't talk about Nick Mom. Ever. Oh gosh, Nick Mom was so horrible. Oh my gosh. Was it a terrible idea in the beginning? But in 2018, that is when I felt that something bad was going on with Nick Jr. itself. It is starting to have a downfall, and it made me feel concerned about Nick Jr.'s future. So, let's go back to early 2018. Where I felt was a pretty bad decision. For starters, let's go over the fact about Kuu Kuu Harajuku. Now, the show really was surprising to have good ratings on the Nick Jr. channel. It didn't fit on Nick Jr. despite being aimed towards the 6-11 demographic, but it surprisingly got good treatment compared to what Nickelodeon did. Weeks before the show aired its season finale, reruns of the series were pulled off of the network. And there were plans for more reruns, but unfortunately, that got cut short. And after the season 2 finale, The Gig Is Up aired on Nick Jr. on a Friday night. They removed the show entirely off of the lineup. But I was thinking at first, so I guess they decided not to air the show anymore. Okay, but here's another thing that happened. Season 3 was teased on social media with Gwen Stefani being on the recording booth. And then there were announcements about Season 3 being confirmed. And during Season 3's premiere on Channel 11 in Australia, before it got renamed as 10 Peach, you know what happened? They got rid of the website page. And I said, wow, this is bad timing. I don't know why they decided to just do this when Season 3 was in around the corner instead of just airing Season 3 on the channel to still have some pretty good ratings. Kuu Kuu Harajuku surprisingly did well on Nick Jr. with some pretty good ratings on their premieres. But January 12th, 723,000 on a secondary channel. Nick Jr. doesn't have that anymore. I think this was the last time when Nick Jr. had high ratings. A premiere episode of Kuu Kuu Harajuku, and after that, yeah, it stopped. They didn't make 700,000 anymore on the next years. And with streaming going on its way, oh yeah. Yeah, that was probably the last time where it had those ratings. Wow, did Nickelodeon treat this show dirty? I mean, the advertising came out of nowhere, and then they just decided to air this show out of order. In my opinion, it has got to be one of the most mistreated acquisitions that I have ever seen. It honestly should have done better on Disney Channel, because Disney Channel would have treated this show better and not Nickelodeon. But then again, Nickelodeon mistreated all of their female-aimed acquisitions and female-aimed originals as well. Like It's Pony, Maleficent's Teenage Robot, The Legend of Korra, and acquisitions such as, remember when they aired Miraculous Ladybug? Even though it actually aired its entire full first season, Kuu Kuu Harajuku, only half of it. The rest booted up to Nick Jr. But speaking of burn-offs, there was a time when Regal Academy was announced to be airing on Nick Jr., the channel, because I guess some other feeds were airing this show. For Season 2, it managed to finish its entire first season on the main network. Season 2, Nick Jr. And I guess what happens next? Yeah, they didn't even advertise this show. They didn't even advertise it. They aired it at Sunday mornings, and they just gave up. No reruns, unless they're just repeats with the same time slot. It is just no advertising, just Season 2, and then it just went away off Nick Jr. Wow. Just wow. I really don't like how Nickelodeon mistreated female-aimed acquisitions like this, claiming as, oh, it's preschool-aimed animation, while in reality they're not. They're aimed for the 6 and 11 demographic. My goodness. Me on Disney, well, not Disney, Nick Jr. as an exclusive? Yeah, terrible idea right there, bud. But, of course, this unfortunately affected 2 original female-aimed Nick Jr. shows as well. Presenting Girls Rule Sundays. It was a block on Nick Jr. that aired on Sunday mornings. Why? And it did advertising. It did advertising to say, hey, new episodes of shows are here. Like new episodes of Shimmer Shine. New episodes of Nell the Princess Knights. New episodes of Sunny Day. And reruns of, guess what? PAW Patrol. Reruns of PAW Patrol. Oh boy. Just because Sky is the only main character of the pup team on PAW Patrol, you just gotta include PAW Patrol, huh? Your most over-aired series as supposedly Dora 2.0, but at least Dora is an original. PAW Patrol isn't. And it ended up to be kinda like this. Peppa Pig, PAW Patrol, Blue's Clues. Nice to see Blue's Clues, but my goodness, just because Sky is it. Oh my goodness, this is just. I have some mixed thoughts about this. It's like if Sandy from SpongeBob is represented as, oh, this is the main character of the series, so we gotta put her in it, and they just put Sky from PAW Patrol in it, even though that she is just one of the main characters. The rest, they are not female. And it's just crazy to see on how they did this for Sky herself. I mean, can't it just be PAW Patrol lists on that blog, as it unfortunately led to burn-offs? Yes, I said burn-offs, because they just couldn't stop burning off shows to give the PAW Patrol treatment to. Sunny Day, Nell the Princess Knight, Shimmer and Shine. Oh yeah, the Shimmer and Shine thing. A lot of people were not impressed about Shimmer and Shine being booted off to the Nick Jr. channel, because I am very surprised that it has a pretty interesting fan base. But, oh my goodness, a highly critically acclaimed show that changed from being episodic in 2D to being CGI and story-driven, Shimmer and Shine. So many people were not impressed about this. It is kind of like Harvey Beaks being booted up to Nicktoons, but is just very, very, very unpleasant to see how this show unfortunately got booted up there, because the PAW Patrol treatment just had to keep going. Can it? Just, my goodness, it's just not good to see. It's like Nick Jr. saw his ratings and they were like, oh, those ratings about that show? Oh, that's not good. Oh, well, we might as well replace it with PAW Patrol because PAW Patrol brings us some high ratings. The show used to be all about being a helpful part of our community, social skills, and teamwork, but we decided to give it lots and lots of crazy superhero, cool action, motorcycles, cars, secret agents, superhero, spies, awesomest of merchandise. Because PAW Patrol is what gives us a lot of viewership and money. It is so special for us. After that door ended, we needed a new contender, and that is PAW Patrol. So what are we going to do? Easy. We're going to have a lot of PAW Patrol. Just PAW Patrol, PAW Patrol, PAW Patrol, PAW Patrol, PAW Patrol, and PAW Patrol. Because this is what the kids like, right? Just a lot of PAW Patrol. Because it's what brings us a lot of good viewership there. And, well, it is also quite unfortunate due to how PAW Patrol was slowly taking over on the Nick Jr. channel and block. The Nick Jr. block didn't do so great on 2018 either. You see this? This was from 2017. Look at that variety. Look at that variety. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Sunny Day, Shimmer Shine, Bubble Guppies, Blazing Munch Machines, PAW Patrol, Rusty Ribbits, and this seems pretty good. But fast forward to 2018, and this is when things start to get tough. If you weren't PAW Patrol, Bubble Guppies, or Blazing the Monster Machines, chances are you have just went into the Nick Jr. treatment. And it's very sad. I am glad that Bubble Guppies managed to finish its entire run twice with its original run and its revival. And then there are shows that unfortunately couldn't finish their runs in the main channel, like Shimmer and Shine, like Sunny Day. It is just very sad to see this. Peppa Pig is an exception because it gets premieres on the Nick Jr. channel, but it occasionally airs on the Nick Jr. block. So, yep. For what it went, it didn't go so well on the block, and it slowly began to feel like this. It started PAW Patrol taking over the block, and other shows barely get a chance. I still didn't like how they decided to mistreat Paddington to just get booted off to the Nick Jr. channel after just a few months. And that right here upsetted me. Because Paddington was a pretty good show and it unfortunately got booted off to the Nick Jr. channel. And it's another reason why variety is needed to be useful at times. Because even before especially before the age, even in the age of streaming, it can still be useful for channels, as it can make many people not get bored, not watching the same show or movie over and over and over again, and giving them something different. And that is what makes it quite special. So, let's get to Thomas. Thomas's airings on Nick Jr. And oh boy, I think this reaction might say it all.
Thomas has never seen such garbage treatment.
on a show like this before. So it is very unfortunate that Thomas and Friends, it aired on Nickelodeon in late 2017, and then it got booted off to the Nick Jr. channel early 2018. You know what? Thomas should stay on PBS. It honestly should stay on PBS because it wouldn't stand a chance against PAW Patrol, and it's very unfortunate. Thomas is an iconic name, and airing it on Nick Jr. in 2017, yeah, it didn't work so well. In 2018, it got booted off there. And after that, it left. It left. It just went away off the channel immediately, and then it went straight to Netflix. So, yeah, Thomas, it didn't get good treatment either. And then there are times when they decided to air more non-preschool aimed shows, such as Alvin and the Chipmunks, the 2015 reboots, which I don't really understand. I mean, Family Junior, I guess it's understandable, as it's less of a preschool network and more of a kind of generic kids network. But Nick Jr. airing it, I heard that some countries air it, but it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work on Alvin, but to make things worse, they just couldn't stop. When Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that aired on the channel in 2019, and I said to myself, why? And then it kept going and going and going. You get movies, you get stuff like Shrek, Camp Coral, the Kids' Choice Awards even. It just didn't stop. And of course, with all those over airings of PAW Patrol, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then we get that takeover on the block, and it just, I just do not like the fact that PAW Patrol airs way too much just because of success. Dora didn't have this that much compared to PAW Patrol, and that was an original, that was a success in the 2000s. PAW Patrol is co-produced. It is not an original. Missed opportunities, unnecessary burn-offs, over-airings of PAW Patrol. 2018 was not a good year on Nick Jr., but there is something that is easily, without a doubt, the worst part of that year in the channel. This was from August 2018. The lineup is pretty good. Look at the variety. Max and Ruby, Blue's Clues, Dora, Zack and Quack, Little Bear, Ben and Holly, Wonder Pets, Tiki Talk, The Backyardigans, Little Charmers, Sunny Day, Nella, Peter Rabbit. It's a pretty good amount of variety, right? Well, it's quite unfortunate that in September, things changed for the worst. The variety started to decrease. And the classics, most of them, they were gone. And it's very sad. Backyardigans, Wonder Pets, Tickety Talk, Little Bear, all gone from the lineup. And I have to say this, that has got to be a very unfortunate change on what Nick Jr. did, as they just decided to get rid of so many of their classics in favor of less variety. Even Blue's Clues wasn't so lucky, as it lasted up until July of 2019. That right here really hurts because Blue's Clues is easily one of Nick Jr.'s most iconic names, and seeing that go away is just very unfortunate. So many older shows left the network, and it started to change for the worst on it, especially with stuff like Backyardigans and the Wonder Pets. It's just, that idea alone, it doesn't make me angry. It makes me feel sad. It's just very sad to see the older Nick Jr. shows leave off of the lineup on September of 2018, and that right here was easily the worst part of that year in my opinion. Overall, that's all I gotta say there. 2018 was not a good year for Nick Jr. And I can't believe that this channel would just turn for the worse like this. All that variety, all that specialty, gone. And it's just very sad on what happened to the network. For once it was a special network. It was Noggin. Noggin was creative. Noggin was unique. Noggin had a lot of classics. A lot of underrated shows. And exclusives even. And then Nick Jr. came, and Nick Jr. was pretty good until 2018. 2018, in my opinion, was the start of the end of a once was special network. And a block too. I just can't believe that Nick Jr. just turned to be like this. Too much PAW Patrol, barely any other shows. I mean, I really hope that Tiny Chef manages to air its entire run on the main network, because Tiny Chef is surprisingly doing well. So, that's all I gotta say here. But once was special and creative and unique Nick Jr. was gone, in my opinion, in 2018. And it led to the channel doing so many dumb ideas, like airing more non-preschool themed content and over-airings of stuff like Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that 2018 was not a good year on Nick Jr.? Or do you think there are worse years on Nick Jr. itself? Because my goodness, 2018 was just not a good year. Though 2012, it is also not a good year with the launch of Nick Mom. Anyway guys, this is Kawaii Life Antonio, signing off. Peace. And I really hope that Nick Jr. can at least improve again. At least slightly. We managed to get Dora back on the lineup. Maybe they might have Max and Ruby again. Who knows what will happen on Nick Jr. I just hope that it will at least slightly improve to get away from all this PAW Patrol in terms of reruns. Because too much of a good thing, well, too much of anything, even too much of a good thing, too much of a bad thing, too much of a neutral thing, it can end up for some various problems. Anyway, stay cool.